welcome to Live Interactive English. My name is Winnie.
And my name is Matt.
And today we are continuing with part 2 of rice paddy art, painting with plants. And in the last part, we actually learned that this is a relatively new art. They started it 30 years ago in a town or in a place called Inakadate in Japan. Which leads me to ask you, Matt, because I know you like to sightsee and wander around. Have you ever seen a piece of rice paddy art in your life, ever?
Yes, I have. And right here in Taiwan.
Oh!
Right in Taipei. So I usually ride a bike along the Riverside Park going to Danshui from Taipei. And there's one place near Beito where there's a farm where they have rice paddy art that you can see directly from the bike path.
So we have one right in Taiwan.
Yeah, and so they change the art, I think, a couple times a year. So you can always see new artwork while you're getting your exercise riding out to Danshui.
Oh yeah, because they're growing, so they got to change it quite often. Okay, so you've not only seen one piece of rice paddy art, you've seen a couple.
Yeah, well, I've been riding that bike path for many years, so
Right.
I've seen them change it quite a few times.
Oh, now maybe I should go and check that out. Okay, I'm excited to learn more about rice paddy art in part 2 of Rice Paddy Art, Painting with Plants.
Creating rice paddy art takes a lot of work and planning and requires a clear strategy. First, farmers draw an image with a computer program. Then, they mark out the design on a map of the field to show which kind of rice should be planted in each section. After that, they're ready to sow the seeds, sometimes with the help of a drone, other times with volunteers.
Let's start our second part of Rice Paddy Art, Painting with Plants.
Okay, so let's get into the article. Creating rice paddy art takes a lot of work and planning and requires a clear strategy.
That's a good point, because I guess, when you're doing art, sometimes you can just go with the flow. You don't really need to plan anything, but I guess if you got to take, because, rice grows. It's not like it just...
Right, it'd be hard to see the finished plan when you're just, planting rice.
Yeah,
so.
because you're up close, but it's so big, you need to kind of step back.
Right, so you need a strategy. So a strategy is a plan of action to achieve an overall goal or a long-term goal. So in this case, you need, some steps that you have to take in order to make sure that the artwork looks the way that you intended it to look.
You can't just do whatever you want.
Okay, so for example, the team developed a new strategy to win the game.
Okay, so continuing on with the article. First, farmers draw an image with a computer program. Okay, so kind of like before we paint, we got to sketch on a piece of paper with pencil. That way, if we make a mistake, we can erase it. They don't want to plant something and then have to dig it out. Continuing on, then they mark out the design on a map of the field to show which kind of rice should be planted in each section. Because as we talked about in the last episode, it's not just one type of rice that they use, they have multiple types.
Right, different colors of rice to make the different images. Back to the article. After that, they're ready to sow the seeds, sometimes with the help of a drone, other times with volunteers.
Okay, so when we say sow the seeds, we're not talking about like sewing a piece of fabric. We're talking about this verb, sow, S-O-W, is to plant these seeds, but really they're the shoots of these rice plants. So they already have a little bit of a root on them. They're not just the seeds.
Okay, and we had another word there, which is a drone. So a drone is an unmanned piece of machinery. Can be a flying drone, is one kind of drone that when most people say just drone without any other context, they probably mean the flying kind of drone that can be controlled remotely.
Right, with a camera on it usually. And we have this word volunteers, okay? So a volunteer is a person who offers to help or work for free. They're not being paid to do this. So usually when you say you're volunteering for something, you are doing it out of your own, the goodness of your own heart. So for example, the new kids play area was built by volunteers.
All right, well, we've learned some interesting stuff about this rice art, but there's more to learn when we come back after the break.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。我们来看看如何创作稻田艺术。创作稻田艺术需要许多的工作，还有规划，需要明确的策略。那首先，农民就会用电脑程式来绘制图像，接着在田地的地图上画线，标出设计图，来显示每个区域该种植哪些稻米。那之后，他们就会准备播种，有时候会借由无人机来协助，有时候是靠义工来完成。好，单字 strategy 它表示策略、策划或者是有战略的意思。Volunteer 表示志愿者或是义工，或者是自告奋勇的人。那补充单字 sow sow 表示播种，有一个容易混淆的动词是 sew， 也念作 sow， 那它是有缝制或缝补的意思。那 Winnie 老师在讲这个动词时，他提到 fabric fabric 它表示织物或者是布料。好，再看到 drone 这个字它表示无人机。那么 Matt 老师在解释时，他用到 unmanned 这个字 unmanned unmanned 是形容无人驾驶的或者是没有载人的。好，那这边一个重点，我们进入文法时间。这边要介绍的是 WH 疑问词引导名词子句的用法。WH 疑问词像 what, when, where, who, which, how 所引导的名词子句可以拿来当主词、受词或是补语用。当主词的话，动词要用单数型。那我们造3个例句。How they met was hilarious. 他们相遇的方式很爆笑。那么名词子句 how they met 是当主词用，后面就要搭配单数动词 was。I don't know who he is. 我不知道他是谁。那名词子句 who he is 是当受词，也就是动词 know 的受词。This is where we practice dancing. 这是我们练舞的地方。那名词子句 where we practice dancing 是当主词补语，用来补充说明主词，让语义变完整。好，那接华课文中。
You can find rice paddy art in many parts of Japan, though Inakadate is still one of the most famous places to view it. The practice is also starting to catch on in countries like Thailand and the Philippines. In Taiwan, one man even arranged for a custom piece of art that had a message asking his girlfriend to marry him. In a moment the two are sure to never forget, she excitedly said yes as soon as she saw it. Rice paddy art is a fun way to bring beauty and vitality to the countryside. It offers a novel experience the whole family can enjoy while promoting tourism in small rural areas. The art form is a great example of how tradition and creativity can go together to uplift communities.
Welcome back from the break. Before the break, we talked about how you need to have a strategy when you are making rice paddy art. Just like before you make a painting, you gotta sketch it out, and they do the same thing. They come up with a strategy. They use a drone with a camera on it to make sure they know what type of rice they're gonna use and where they're gonna plant it. But yeah, that's pretty much how they plan what they're going to paint with the rice paddies.
All right, well, let's get back into our article. You can find rice paddy art in many parts of Japan, though Inakadate is still one of the most famous places to view it.
Oh, interesting.
The practice is also starting to catch on in countries like Thailand and the Philippines.
Ah, okay. Well, that makes sense because you saw one here. Continuing on with the article, in Taiwan, one man even arranged for a custom piece of art that had a message asking his girlfriend to marry him. In a moment, the two are sure to never forget. She excitedly said yes as soon as she saw it. Wow, way to go with a bang.
Wow, yeah, that's a long time planning. You have to plan to have that rice paddy made, and then you'd also have to wait for it to grow. And then you have to plan a trip with your girlfriend at the time to get her to view this rice paddy.
Yeah, and obviously if she says yes, maybe you can bring that rice home and eat it.
Guess so, yes. You could
throw it at the wedding.
You could have that rice at the wedding.
Yeah.
All right, back to our article. Rice paddy art is a fun way to bring beauty and vitality to the countryside.
Ooh, what's that?
What's vitality?
Yeah.
Well, vitality is when something is active or full of energy, we say that it has vitality. So if a town maybe is, run down and old and people aren't visiting anymore, it might not have vitality. But when you bring back the tourists, bring back the business and the activity and liveliness to that town, we'd say it has vitality.
So you bring it back to life.
All right, back to the article. It offers a novel experience the whole family can enjoy while promoting tourism in small rural areas.
Oh, okay. And so we have this word promoting. And well, what does it mean to promote something? Our verb. It basically means to raise awareness about something. And Ina Kadate has kind of done that about rice and rice paddy art and their town or their place. So you could also say free libraries can promote independent learning.
Okay, so we talked about rural areas. So rural areas are areas that are not in the city. They're areas that are for farming. So these are places that you might call the countryside. The countryside is rural areas. So it's places where there are farms and maybe some small villages, but no big buildings like you would see in a city. And the opposite of rural would be urban. So an urban area is a place that is very much like a city. So an example sentence, Sophia lives in a small rural village.
Right, not going to find any malls there.
No.
Continuing on, the art form is a great example of how tradition and creativity can go together to uplift communities. And to uplift something is really about supporting these communities, helping them get better. Now, what is a community? A community is basically a group of people living in a place. So, for example, sadly, many young people are leaving this community to move to big cities. And actually talking about farming, a lot of farming itself is kind of a lost art because not many young people can learn how to be farmers. But hopefully, rice paddy art can help them kind of feel passionate about farming. Right.
So we have a what do you think question here. So Winnie, aside from art and food, can you think of any other uses of rice?
Well, I know that there's a brand of, actually, this is used in a lot of brands of stuffed animals. So instead of cotton or wool stuffing, they use rice now to stuff stuffed animals. But not many people know about this. And so when your stuffed animal gets dirty, usually you will put it in the washing machine. But some people don't know that their stuffed animal is full of rice. So they throw it into the washing machine and they come out with a steaming hot stuffed animal full of rice. Cooked rice.
Delicious.
So it's also a meal. What about you? What do you think?
You said it, apart from food, I was asking.
Yeah. What about you? What do you think?
Well, I remember that before all of our cell phones were waterproof, when you used to, drop your phone in the toilet and it would be very wet, one way to try to save your phone, try to bring it back to life would be to stick it in a bag of rice.
Not cooked rice.
Uncooked rice, because that would help to absorb all of the moisture out of the phone and dry it out so that hopefully it can be used again.
I can confirm I've done it and it does work.
Okay.
Yeah, but I found this topic super exciting. And now that you told me that there is a rice paddy art in Taiwan, I'm going to go check it out right now.
All right, well, let's go. We'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
日本有很多地方可以看到稻田艺术，不过田舍馆仍然是最著名的观赏地点之一。而这个做法也开始在泰国和菲律宾等等国家流行。那在台湾，有一名男子他甚至安排一幅定制的稻田艺术品向女友求婚，对方一看到作品就兴奋地答应咯。好，那课文最后提到说，稻田艺术提供了合家共享的新体验，那同时也促进了小乡村地区的旅游业。这种艺术形式啊，是传统跟创意如何共同提升社区发展的绝佳范例。好 ，Winnie 老师提到，也许这种艺术形式可以帮助传承，让年轻人对务农产生热忱。那么老师用到 passionate 这个形容词，就是在 passion 热情后面加上 ate 构成形容词，表示热情的、激昂的或是热烈的。再看到课文单字 promote 是指推广、提倡或是提升，是个动词。那么 rural 则是形容乡村的、农村的或是乡下的。再看到 community， 它表示社区、群体或是社群。那这边有2个重点，我们进入文法时间。我们来看第一个重点是 catch on 的用法。首先第一个，它可以表达风行起来，变得受欢迎，是当不及物用。那这时候呢，必须以事物当主词，像 The trend is starting to catch on in Asia， 这股潮流开始在亚洲风行起来。那第二个，我们可以用 catch on 去表达经过一段时间后理解、领会。那是当不及物用，后面可以接 to something 来表达领会某事物。例如It took me a while to catch on to the joke. 我花了一段时间才听懂那个笑话。那第二个重点是 as soon as 加上主词加动词，这是指一怎么样就怎么样，一旦……那用来表示某事发生时，另一件事就跟着发生，这时候就相当于 once 加子句。举例来说 ，It started to rain as soon as we got off the bus.我们一下公车就开始下雨了。好，那么以上今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
Creating rice paddy art takes a lot of work and planning and requires a clear strategy. First, farmers draw an image with a computer program. Then, they mark out the design on a map of the field to show which kind of rice should be planted in each section. After that, they're ready to sow the seeds, sometimes with the help of a drone, other times with volunteers. You can find rice paddy art in many parts of Japan, though Inakadate is still one of the most famous places to view it. The practice is also starting to catch on in countries like Thailand and the Philippines. In Taiwan, one man even arranged for a custom piece of art that had a message asking his girlfriend to marry him. In a moment the two are sure to never forget, she excitedly said yes as soon as she saw it. Rice paddy art is a fun way to bring beauty and vitality to the countryside. It offers a novel experience the whole family can enjoy while promoting tourism in small rural areas. The art form is a great example of how tradition and creativity can go together to uplift communities.
Hey, it's Kiwi on the street.
I'm Kiki.
And I'm Winnie.
Winnie, yesterday I was texting someone and I think they were talking to me about babies because they were typing something and they said BBS and I have no idea what that means.
Well, Kiki, it says, I'm going to the supermarket, I'll BBS. Be back soon. It's an abbreviation.
Oh, okay. Looks like it's time to brush up on some abbreviations. It's time to work on some abbreviations. The first one is IDC.
I don't care.
I don't care.
What do you think?
I don't care. I don't care.
I don't care.
Yes, I don't care. Okay, but what about OBVS?
Observe. Obviously.
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 Obvious. Obviously.
Very good, obviously. Last but not least, we have FS.
For sure.
For sure. For sure.
For sure.
This F, it sounds like a number.
5.
Minus one. Minus one.
4.
So,
4. Oh, 4. 4. Shh. Are you?
What?
For sure.
Very good. What did we learn today?
today we're going to work on some abbreviations. Our first one is IDC. I don't care. I don't care. So for example, you could say, I don't care about your opinion. Next, we have OBVS. Obviously. Obviously. So you could also say, obviously, ice cream is cold. Last but not least, we have FS, for sure. For sure. Are you going to your sister's wedding? For sure. That's all we have for today. Kiwi later.